On March 9th, Valorant player and ex-overwatch pro Sinatraa was accused of sexual assault and sexual misconduct by his ex-girlfriend. He's since been suspended from Sentinels Valorant roster while an investigation is carried out and will be unable to play in this weekend's Valorant Masters event. Sinatraa denies these allegations. Here's the whole story. Before I begin, I'd like to warn anybody watching right now that there are some pretty explicit descriptions of sexual assault in this video. So if that's something you'd like to avoid, I just want to give you a warning to click off now before I continue. So this story started just prior to 11 p.m. Eastern Time on March 9th. Cleo Hernandez, Sinatra's ex-girlfriend, published a tweet with the caption, "My last relationship," along with an attached document titled J. Now, this document is 9 pages. It's very thorough, extremely graphic, and includes text messages, Discord conversations, and an audio clip, all meant to reinforce Hernandez's allegations. For the purposes of this video, I obviously can't read you the entire thing, but here's a breakdown of what's being alleged. Hernandez says that she and Sinatraa dated for 9 months. She alleges that over the course of that time, he made unwanted sexual advances after she told him not to. She felt like saying no to sex was never an option. He would continue to have sex with her after she told him to stop and was in pain. He acted manipulatively and guilted her into having sex after she said no. He was emotionally abusive. He would check her location using his iPhone, and if it didn't match where she said she was, he would accuse her of cheating, and that she lived in constant fear of him. Hernandez also began the document by alleging that Sinatraa claimed that she threatened to kill herself if he broke up with her. She said that this isn't true and that she broke up with him. From the beginning of the document, Hernandez alleges that this pattern of behavior started very early on in their relationship. She writes, quote, "The first time we ever slept together, I told him I wasn't on birth control and he could not finish in me. He did it anyways without my consent," end quote. She also said that she got an IUD because Sinatraa refused to use a condom, and it ended up making sex very painful for her. And she says that Sinatraa didn't care. Quote, "I would say it hurt and I wanted to stop, and he'd say, 'No, I'm so close.' As much as it hurt, I learned that he didn't mind hurting me and had no problem with leaving me crying in the bathroom while he slept." She went on to say, quote, "He knew it hurt badly enough for me to go to the doctor and still disregarded my pain. He can't try and say that he just didn't know. He knew." End quote. Also included in the document are iMessage conversations that appear to show Sinatraa asking her if she was cheating on him, referencing her location, iMessage conversations that appear to show Sinatraa criticizing her for tweeting about another Overwatch League team that he wasn't on, and Discord conversations dated November 23rd, 2019 that appear to show Hernandez talking to someone about being scared of Sinatraa and worrying that he was using her for sex. Finally, there is also a link to an audio clip in the document that Cleo says is taken from a video of the two having sex. In the clip, Sinatraa appears to be asking for them to continue having sex, while she's denying his advances repeatedly. Throughout the document, Cleo describes being afraid in the relationship. She also describes him acting possessively and needing to know where she was at all times. She also says that he used yelling as a way to win arguments. Quote, "He learned that he would yell at me and I would apologize even if I wasn't in the wrong, and he used that pretty frequently. If I ever wanted to bring up something I thought he was doing wrong, he would turn it around and make it something I was doing wrong and make me apologize for even suggesting he was doing anything incorrectly. I just learned not to say he was doing anything wrong. Just easier than arguing with a narcissist." Sinatraa was set to compete in the first major event of the Valorant Champions Tour that's happening this weekend, Masters 1. So the next day, on Wednesday, March 10th, both the VCT and Sentinels tweeted that they were aware of the situation, and with an investigation looming, Sinatraa would not be allowed to play in Masters this weekend. Here's Sentinel's statement. Quote, "We are aware of the current situation regarding Sinatraa and have launched an investigation internally. While the investigation is pending, he is suspended from the team. We will provide a further update once the investigation has concluded." End quote. Later on Wednesday night, Sinatraa responded to Hernandez's allegations on Twitter with a twit longer titled Update. Quote, "It is clear from Cleo's recent post that she recalls our relationship differently than I do. What we do agree on is that it was unhealthy for both of us. I apologize to Cleo and regret how things ended, but I never assaulted her in any way. I am fully cooperating with the investigations and providing the full audio and video clips Cleo referenced in her post." End quote. After his statement went live, Hernandez responded, quote tweeting him and criticizing him for not reaching out to her personally. Since his relationship with Hernandez, Sinatraa has switched esports from Overwatch to Valorant, but the events described in her allegations would have happened while he was a member of the San Francisco Shock in the Overwatch League. The Shock also tweeted out a statement. The Overwatch League itself took action on Wednesday night, offering support and a refund for Sinatra's Overwatch League MVP skin. And of course, in addition to the statements coming from Sinatra's current and former orgs, there were messages of support for Hernandez from across the esports community, including from popular streamer Myth, who actually addressed the situation directly on stream and supported the VCT's decision to suspend Sinatraa.
I've come to the conclusion that, like, if somebody says no or stop in any tone, like, here's what my initial reaction would, one, stop, and then be like, wait, is everything okay? Like, my reaction wouldn't be to, like, keep fucking going, you know what I mean? Like, that is not it, dude. It's just not it.
With that said, there was one early dissenting voice before Sinatra's statement. Former Overwatch pro and streamer Defran. Defran rather inelegantly urged people to wait for Sinatra's side of the story before coming to conclusions, which many on Twitter immediately criticized, Myth included.
I get what he's saying here, but, like, he did not say it in the right way at all. Just because I'm waiting for the whole story doesn't mean that I'm not going to believe what the victim has to say yet. Does that mean disregard? Yeah, you know what? Does that make sense? And I think that's the issue with some of these people that make statements like they're waiting for the whole story, but they say that the shit that she's typed isn't true because they don't have the whole story, when that's just not valid. Like, they can't say that.
Unfortunately, sexual assault and sexual misconduct allegations are not foreign to the esports space, especially over the course of the last year. If you remember, back in July, we covered the movement of hundreds of allegations that were levied against personalities in the gaming, esports, and streaming world. And while that was the beginning, since then, stories have continued to be shared months later. After all of the back and forth about the allegations against Sinatraa on Wednesday, on Thursday, March 11th, Sentinels announced that they would be bringing in former Cloud9 Valorant player TenZ as Sinatra's replacement for Masters this weekend. Following that announcement, the VCT NA account released this statement regarding the addition of TenZ to their roster. Sentinels requested an exception to the roster lock period to add a substitute to their roster. In light of the circumstances, the exception was granted. Per Rule 2.3 of the Global Competition Policy, players may not play for or contract with more than one team at a time. To comply with this rule, Sentinels have acquired all rights to TenZ. TenZ will no longer represent Cloud9. From this announcement, it seems like TenZ will not only be standing in for Sentinels, but in order to do so, they had to actually acquire the rights to have him play for them from Cloud9. Now, the results of the investigation into these allegations made against Sinatraa are obviously still ongoing. We're following the situation closely, and we'll be sure to have an update once we know more.